Hey guys, this is Tauna. Today we're going to be covering this video here. So they had two product architects on the Magic weekly MTG, where they were talking about basically Aftermath and then the Epilogue boosters and the Beyond boosters. So there's some interesting stuff in there that I want to talk about, give you guys my opinions on it and just kind of, fill you in as to what they kind of talked about. If you don't know what March of this Machine Aftermath was, it was an Epilogue booster style, which was like a 50 card set that they released, that they only had a much smaller amount of cards in the booster packs, no uncommons. It wasn't designed to be draftable or anything like that. So essentially the Aftermath / Epilogue boosters, they were their attempt to kind of include more lore into the game and everything. They were designed to be the epilogue of like a set or arc. So for example, the Aftermath was designed to be the epilogue for the Phyrexian arc. Because epilogues are short, they don't make like, a full set or anything. They don't spread it out to be like a full set. They want to keep it a small kind of enclosed set because, there's not as much storyline to go around or anything. They just want to be smaller. There's no commons in the sets either because they're designed to not be draftable, and commons are a lot less useful if stuff isn't draftable. The commons are there to be able to help draft and everything like that. Even like Pauper and stuff make use of them, but mostly they're just not designed to be in a kind of a smaller set. It's obviously poorly received. I think, Aftermath is probably one of the worst sets that I've ever opened. It just feels like, it didn't feel strong. The cards didn't, like the boosters just didn't feel good to open or anything like that. They're like, just as expensive. But overall, just, they were poorly received on a whole bunch of different fronts. But, they took it and they learnt from it. Hopefully. They've made some really big changes to a couple things that are coming up. Namely the Beyond boosters, which are similar to the Epilogue boosters but different, and the Outlaws of Thunder Junction, because Outlaws at Thunder Junction was going to have an Aftermath / Epilogue style booster set come out of it, which is very, very interesting to know as well. So as I said, they were an effort to kind of include more lore into the Magic card game, not like, lore outside of that where people have to go look at it, but actually in the card game. But obviously they didn't do it the right way. Feedback was, everyone kind of gave the feedback that it was pretty great, pretty awful. They will keep trying to include more of that kind of lore stuff into the game, but obviously not the same way as this is done. As I said before, there is an Epilogue style set for Outlaws at Thunder Junction. However, they changed it from this style. So there is like going to be an Epilogue set, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it's going to be different because of the feedback of everyone kind of talking about this set and everything. So the Assassin's Creed one. So the Beyond boosters are going to be similar to the Epilogue boosters, but different. They're not going to be draftable, and they got tweaked after the Aftermath reception. So there's going to be 100 cards in the set, as opposed to, I believe it was around 50 in the Epilogue boosters. There's going to be a mix of kind of reprints that people love. So assumedly stuff like Murder or stuff like that kind of ties into Assassin's Creed. Stuff to do with maybe Shroud or something along those lines. Maybe some kind of like, similar to like the Ravnica Assassin-y kind of stuff, I assume. I don't know if it's going to be reprints of like, legendary creatures. That would be interesting to see. I assume not. I assume it'd be like more reprints of, similar like, Lord of the Rings, how they had reprints of existing cards and stuff that, fit the set still. Assumedly it'd be something like that. There's up to 4 rares / mythics per pack, and we'll show you the pack outline in a second. There's going to be 24 packs per booster box, they said, which, reduces it down from, I believe it was 36 for March for Aftermath. And there is going to be a scene in the set. So similar to like the Lord of the Rings ones, how you could get a special borderless version of a card and they fit into a greater scene. There's apparently going to be a scene in this set. Now, obviously with Magic, MSRP does not exist, but they did take the price feedback into account when they were pricing it. So we'll see how that goes at, like, you know, our local LGS or online on Amazon and stuff like that. We'll see how, like, you know, different that is and stuff. So this is the Beyond boosters. They are going to be modern legal, similar to how Lord of the Rings was. So there's going to be 1 to 3 slots of non-foil uncommons. There is no commons in these either. You've got a non-foil land or a scene card can potentially be in that as well. So that's assumably where one of the rares or mythics could be. We've got a non-foil rare / mythic there, a traditional foil, and then a booster fun. So that's going to be either a non-foil or foil. And then finally, a token / ad. So, you know, 7 playable cards in them. I think a lot of this will depend on what the reprints are and how expensive it is, because, you know, if it's as expensive as Aftermath boosters were, or, you know, a normal set or anything along those lines, people aren't going to be wanting to buy it. If it's proportionally expensive compared to like a normal booster, given the fact that it's got less cards in it and stuff, it's a smaller set compared to, you know, a big kind of, you know, 300 card set or something like that. This is only 100 cards. Then potentially they could go well. I think the thing is that they talked about it a lot as well, is that there's a lot of like innovation that they try and do within Magic, because they want to keep making it better. They can't, you know, like, they can take what works and keep building on that, but then trying new things is always going to be a good idea. Whether they work or not, it's kind of, you know, up to how things go and stuff. They do a lot of, you know, market research beforehand and stuff, but some things you just, you know, need to put out there to see as to how they kind of go. So I'll be very interested to see how kind of the Beyond boosters go. And then Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I keep calling it Outlaws at Thunder Junction. Outlaws of Thunder Junction. So these are obviously going to be play boosters. Originally, there was going to be the play boosters, Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and then afterwards, there was going to be a full kind of epilogue set. So a full like 50 card set with epilogue boosters and stuff along those lines, a new kind of product and everything. However, they retooled it after feedback, and that apparently took a fair bit of work to kind of, you know, change it so that it was different, especially the way they seemingly changed it. So the Epilogue set will instead be placed throughout OTJ play boosters. So instead of, you know, they're going to be within the actual play boosters now. Instead of it being a separate set, it's going to be within there. They're going to have their own set symbol and their own set code, however. Apparently that's a spoiler as to what the set symbol and set code are, or at least the set code or the name of it or something. So they heavily implied that they're going to be integrated into the list of OTJ, assumedly similar to like the special guest. So they said, you know, the list of OTJ is actually going to be smaller than normal. Perhaps you can put 2 and 2 together, but they can't say anything more for now. So my assumption is that the list is going to be smaller in account for this epilogue set going to be taking place within there. And the epilogue set is essentially going to be special guests on crack. So a whole bunch more variation, a whole bunch more cards as a, like, you know, a huge kind of special guesty kind of set. Similar to the Wild of Eldraine sheet, but assumedly different to that. Assumedly they're not guaranteed within the booster packs, but we'll see. It's going to be very interesting to see exactly what it is. I really hope that, you know, if it's that there's good cards within it, but they're not too hard to get, because the list at the moment, it's really hard to get things off the list. And when you start taking the list and then adding more things to it from the epilogue set, then we might kind of run into problems, especially if, you know, there's a new version of, like, you know, Oko or a new version of Callan, and they end up being like really, really amazing for really amazing for, you know, I don't know if they're going to be standard legal. I assume that they'd be standard legal, or even Commander. Like, if there's a new version of Oko that, you know, is a de-sparked Oko, I don't remember if he's got his spark or not, or, you know, a Planeswalker version of Callan, or, you know, there's lots of really cool stuff they could potentially be doing here. And if they're amazing, but then you've got to, you know, you've got to first of all open a card from either the list or from the Epilogue set, and then it's got to be one that you want and stuff. It's potentially going to be really painful, so I'm going to be very interested to see exactly how this works out. But that's it for today, guys. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of the Epilogue set for OTG, the Epilogue set overall for Aftermath, and then the Beyond boosters. The Beyond boosters definitely sound interesting, but I'll be interested to see exactly what they do. That's it for today. Have a great day and goodbye.